It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, you too.
So let's get before we get into your world of coaching and helping people get to the next place in their lives. I want to know this. Surviving this pandemic 4.5 years ago was a big deal. There was a lot of pivoting, a lot of changes that went into it. How did you getting through that time period? How much of that sent waves through the way that you feel life today?
Mm, I love that question. So, to me, the pandemic, so for me personally, I always thought that I want and I need, and I'm just living off the energy of seeing my colleagues in the office, of dressing up nicely, putting on my work uniform, putting on the makeup is like my war painting. And it was always this like, you can't touch me because I'm in a place and this is a professional environment. And so I always felt like that's what I need. And I want that, like the interaction with people. And through the pandemic, being in the US already, New Hampshire was pretty relaxed throughout. But I gotta say that I did realize that I'm actually really okay if being able to choose if I want to leave the house or not. And being able to really select who's going to be in my physical presence, that made a huge difference for me. I'm not forced to sit in this meeting physically
Yeah.
with like all the physical energy and the negativity that comes with it. And I've done my fair share of crying, before and after boardroom meetings. So it feels different when you can do it through a screen. But on the other side, work-life balance is harder because work is always in your pocket. Work is always sitting on the kitchen counter on my laptop. So it kind of made me realize that I can choose and that I want to choose.
Yeah.
Who do I get in contact with on a daily basis and who not?
Yeah.
And I'm one of those like extroverted introverts. I'm like right on the cusp,
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah.
So really on a daily level, it's on a daily basis. It's like, okay, where I'm at today and learning to listen to that, the voice in my head and learning to listen to my own needs. That was definitely something that I just picked up over the last couple of years. And I definitely think the pandemic is something that accelerated that realization for me. Yeah.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of kids. It's grade schoolers. It's career day. And one of the kids in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Great students. Okay. Well, how old are they? Because I'm not, not the traditional, I'm German, so we have a
Yeah,
different school system. How old are they?
about 10 years old.
10 years old. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. So I would tell them, you know, how your parents both go to work every day, you know, and how sometimes they come back from work and they just feel really tired. And when you want to show them something and you just want to play in the evenings during a work day, during a work week, sometimes you might feel that they're just so exhausted and they still think about work all the time. And it's really, really hard to understand. But somehow it seems that they're always thinking about work, and that doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? So it's something that a lot of people feel, and it feels like you have to go to this job in the morning from, 9 to 5, and you do the things and you have the meetings and all the emails. And, most people think that that is the norm, and it has been the norm for such a long time. And what I do is I help people see if they can find a different way to work on their own terms. It's still going to be work, but if you're able to build your own business, you will see how your parents will at some point just feel happier because they have more control over their own time and they will be able to come to that play. They might have to work another evening, but they might be able to be much more flexible in what they're doing and they overall will be happier. And so I help people find that way out of this, the job that they thought they want to have or people are supposed to do, and find alternative ways to do something that makes you happy, while you work. that's probably how I would describe it. Describe
So,
it.
so let me ask you this: when you were 10 years old, what did you want to be? What was your dream life?
And I think I wanted to be a horse trainer. I
Okay.
was like one of the horse girls,
Yeah.
always in the stable, always a loner,
Yeah.
definitely a big loner. Kind of the weird kid. Never had a lot of friends. And so for me, it was just like doing something with animals and being, being able to work with through a lot of body language and energetic and just overall like handling these 1 ton animals.
Yeah.
Just always had something very intriguing to me because I'm a hypersensitive personality
Yeah.
and I have ADHD. So it's all this like my neurodivergent brain always was able to deal better with animals
Yeah.
because it just let me lead with my feelings and
Yeah.
it let me lead with my body and with kind of with going more with my gut
Yeah.
and throwing this girl into corporate life. That was really hard.
Yeah.
That is a very different place from, being like the horse whisperer.
Yeah. So, how did you acquire these skills to get to this point where you're a strategist and you're a coach and you're helping people come to a moment of job and career clarity? How did these things kind of get like, how did these seeds get planted to evolve into who you are in your career today?
I climbed this career ladder for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in Germany, and that is in a middle class family. And it was always this mindset of you go to work, you
Yeah.
put in the work, no, you grind, and no pain, no gain. And so it's very much that cultural aspect of, just grinding and hustling, something that I grew up with. And so very early on, I thought, okay, so I guess I'm just gonna work real hard. I'm gonna climb the ladder. And I pretty early on said to myself, like, I want to be a CEO. I want to make an impact. I want to leave a mark in the world. And so I did that. And I grew up in advertising agencies, swim or sink. I swam. Um, did that for over a decade, did a lot of work in corporate marketing, leading advertising and creative teams and marketing teams and branding efforts, and like just a lot of very traditional marketing and business work.
Yeah.
And throughout the 20 years of literally making it to the top. Like I built companies within billion-dollar brands. Just Linton Springly, Colgate, um, Jägermeister, Kraft Foods, Kraft ketchup, mac and cheese, Heinz. So it's like that's the level. And I was a general manager, so basically a CEO. So I climbed the way up there. And throughout the years, I always thought, man, I'm really exhausted. Man, and I had 3 burnouts throughout.
Yeah.
And I always thought if I climb one more step on the ladder, maybe that's when I'm gonna find happiness and fulfillment and alignment. But spoiler, I didn't. I didn't. My last burnout really completely forced me to a complete halt, a complete stop, and it really forced me back to basically that little girl that was like, you know what, I wish I could lead with my feelings. I wish I could just follow what feels right. And kind of combining that with my work now is helping clients to understand that we're not made to be working 9 to 5. It's just not. It's a concept that we all need to kind of wake up from.
Yeah.
Especially when you love it, dude, awesome, good for you, do it. But if you're miserable, we all know that this is having so much effects on your physical body, on your energy, on your mental health. Mental health space is a big, big place, and it's a big place of advocacy for me. And I'm not getting tired about talking corporate burnout and what that did to me and my life, and losing friends and almost losing myself. losing a marriage. And so all of that that broke me so bad. And yet still I thought, well, society says that's what success is.
Yeah.
And so I'm now able to take my traditional training of corporate and advertising and startups, and I built a bunch of startups throughout the years, just, nights and weekends, because why not? The grind. Um, and and I'm taking all that traditional knowledge and pairing it with my own experience of, you know what, if you're able to find something that truly aligns with your values
Yeah.
and with your passion, and when you find something that lights you up and not burn you out,
Yeah.
that is a place where you can be so effective, so successful, but on your own terms. And so all of that kind of shaped me into this corporate breakup counselor and helping people to find a way out of it and find a way to build your own business.
Yeah.
And it's still a hustle, but doing it on your own terms, from my own experience, I know that it feels different.
Yeah.
And working on a Sunday evening now is no longer a Sunday scaries. It is something that I'm actually excited about, like
Yeah.
genuinely excited about. It doesn't feel like work. And if you find that, yeah, then your whole family is going to be feeling that too.
So this is clearly an evolution to a happier place in your life, saving yourself, saving all these things you care about. So along those paths of risking and doing things differently, you have to have these heroes, these inspirational forces. Who was that for you that eventually helped you see the other side and find this life you have?
I would probably have to divide that into two parts of the life. So I think during corporate, um, climbing my way all the way up there, I always had a lot of very strong female mentors around me, which is something that's like to me personally still important to be seen and to see and to be a role model. And we have so much work to do that in that area. Um, so that was always something that finding the boss, the mentor, the manager that gives you the tough love.
Yeah.
So that's what always helped me to get to the next place in corporate. Now it's my mother,
Yeah.
it's my sisters, it's my little nephews, it's myself. I gotta say, like I feel like being able to drag myself out of this dark place of burnout again, completely by myself, I I'm I'm able to see myself as my own hero because nothing else really matters but myself.
Yeah.
It's like a very selfish or self-centered view, but it is in the end, it's my life.
Yeah.
And I don't have to explain anything to anyone out there but myself.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to look myself in the mirror every night, which I do. It's the mirror exercise. I do it every night. And I talk to myself. So because I lost touch with myself for so long. And in fact, I never really knew her.
Yeah.
And I just started to be like, you know what? You're pretty beeping awesome. And I love you. And I'm falling in love with yourself. That is something that always felt so like, ah, yeah, yeah, the yogis. Okay. But when you reach that state, it gives you this very natural armor that nothing really can hurt you because I have myself. And so I would almost feel that would probably be my answer for today. I'm my own hero. I created a support system with amazing coaches and mentors and friends and my family. And yet I had to walk the path through the dark valley of tears myself.
Yeah.
And now I can stand here and say, like, yeah, you can. You can get out of there, you can get through it, and life is going to be absolutely beautiful. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be beautiful. Um, and yeah, I'm glad that I was the one pulling myself out of it and pulling myself out of the corporate environment and that perceived success track of being a CEO and having all the cars and having the houses and all the things. Like, yeah, okay. But I know I wouldn't have survived. I would not survive a fourth burnout.
Yeah.
And so I almost saved my life.
So you obviously in this evolved state that you're in now, you have to balance. You have to balance work and you have to balance your personal life. What is it that gets you up every day to find that balance, to find yourself, to hold on to yourself? What is that every day for you?
It's kind of a cliche answer, but it is the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, it's nothing more beautiful for me when I talk to a client, and it doesn't matter where I'm coming from, like energetically in the day, like I'm sitting 10, 15 minutes before that, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna read the notes from last time, like, okay, so where are we at? And then just seeing through someone like dialing in through the session. They're usually 90-minute sessions. So we're dialing in, and I find them all over the place. And they're probably, some of them are still in their job, or some of them already have their business started, but it's just they kind of need to prioritize where to go next. Um, what really gets me up in the morning is that feeling of them dialing in, and throughout the session, I can see how their faces light up, how their body relaxes, how the voice gets more firm once they start talking about ideas and visions, and how all of a sudden the confidence is there, and the goals feel so much more realistic. And it's just that moment, that seeing this transition within the 60 or 90 minutes, that is that's better than any paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never got that feeling from a bonus check. Like, I'm sorry, but I never did.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what gets me up in the morning. And
Yeah.
then obviously all the work around it to find more clients, to be
Yeah.
able to help more people, to serve, to leave an impact. Because now I understand, like, oh wait, I wanted to make an impact,
Yeah.
but as my own CEO,
Yeah.
being able to serve as many people as possible.
Yeah.
That's what gets me up, like genuinely gets me up. Oh, and my dogs,
Yeah.
two
Of
big
course.
dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll be knocking at the door at some
Uh-huh.
point, like, hey, might be no meeting today, but how about some
Yeah.
walks?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So
Absolutely. I totally
that's
get
the
that. I
that's my
totally.
mental health anchors too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the evolution that you've made it to in this point in your life, the wisdom over time, what advice would you impart on that young version of you?
I would tell her, girl, you're not broken. The system is.
Yeah.
Stop shrinking yourself to try to fit in a box that you don't belong in.
Yeah.
I spent so many years thinking that, working harder and be better somehow, that would prove my worth and make me more lovable, but it's really not. It's not, girl. Like, I would sit her down because it's 18. I just started working. I just started my career with 18. I did my studies, got my master's and all that stuff afterwards, like during nights and weekends while working full time, obviously. Um, but no, I would tell her, like, girl, like, you're about to, this is gonna take such a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
Like, your worth is not tied to a title or to a company or to a paycheck. The real measure of success is you, how alive your work makes you feel. Success isn't about climbing ladders. It is about building something that reflects who you truly are. And honestly, I think if I would have known that better, I would have taken the leap earlier, I think, just because until just, the final straw, the final burnout that broke me. There was always just like, yeah, but what if I just work harder?
Yeah.
What if I just, maybe it's just not the right company? What if I go, and then the last huge like, billion-dollar company? Like, what if maybe it's just, maybe it's that. Maybe the higher you get, the easier it gets, but it's not it.
Yeah.
So I would tell her, like, keep going, keep kicking butt, but try to enjoy the journey a little bit more,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
Yep.
Right, because this is the journey of life.
Yep.
This is all we got.
Yep.
This is like playing a video game and you have one life left.
That's it.
You jump around differently. You jump around differently. I'm thinking about, like, I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, Mario
Yeah.
Brothers, the
Uh-huh.
bouncing Super Mario thing. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, you jump on that box a little more careful if you have only one life left. And so I think that's what I would tell her.
Yeah. So of
Yeah.
everything that you've accomplished and evolved into and become at this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Mm. I'm 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 able to be so much more present for my family, for my loved ones, friends, and clients through the work that I did myself, like the inner works, the
Yeah,
healing, the reflection, but also all the accomplishments. Like I know 3 burnouts were really hard, but I probably wouldn't even want to make them go away
yeah,
because they shaped me to become the person that I am today. And that now I'm just genuinely glad that I'm able to get up every morning and make an impact on people's lives in a good way and live within my own integrity. Um, and that made me a better daughter, better sister, better aunt, better friend, a better partner.
yeah,
So I think I'm proud of where I brought myself at.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a very self-centered answer, but it's my truth right now for
Sure.
sure.
So
Mm.
at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I am a very compassionate, emotional, highly sensitive and touchy-feely person that has that can be very aggressive, very go-getter, but in the end, just wants a hug at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's definitely the traits of my ADHD and the hypersensitive personality type, like I see them as features, not as bugs.
yeah,
And so I see them as almost like a superpower, almost like the next evolution of a brain. I do believe that, like wherever the listeners might be on the neurodivergent spectrum, it's I almost feel like if we're able to tap into our superpowers more frequently and with more confidence, we all would just lift the tides for all of us.
yeah,
And so I feel this the empathy and that incredible, like oftentimes really sensitive overload,
yeah,
that is something that I can use to really, really listen well. And at the same time, it's also really hard for me to really stick to very rigid structures.
yeah,
But once you are able to understand who you are and what you're really good at and what's important to you, like what's your reason for being, your ikigai, um, that just empowers you to be yourself. And
yeah,
I feel once you can truly live by your own rules in complete harmony with who you are.
yeah,
I think that's really, really powerful.
yeah.
Um, and I just hope that through my work and through, conversations like that, and there's so much conversations happening around this topic about integrity and finding your true self. And um, I just genuinely feel like this is the better way of living.
Absolutely. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, they have questions, they want to reach out, they're interested, what's the best way to do that?
I would want to have a conversation via LinkedIn. You can find me there. There's a lot of fun. I'm very active. So I always try to like share resources and things. But yeah, just hit me up with a DM. Just having a conversation. I'm always curious to meet new people.
Yeah.
So that's where I would probably start.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will have that link in the show notes. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time and best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.